Assalamu alaikum, just a very quick one. Right, so I posted something about David Irving recently and had an interesting reaction from some of the people who follow me on my Facebook and Twitter. So here's my understanding of David Irving and my views on David Irving. My interest in David Irving isn't about his history, World War One, World War Two. He's a first-rate historian. I know some people don't like him. That's cool. That's everyone's got their own opinion. But I dare anyone to watch his videos on YouTube and not say that this guy is a genius. He is a very, very, very clever, very astute. Really looks at history from original sources. Now, yes, he has a bias. Name one historian in the world that doesn't have a bias. You telling me all those Jewish historians that write about Hitler and Germany don't have a bias? They're going to have a bias. Whether it's right or wrong, that's for God to decide or for you to decide. But don't claim that David Irving has a bias and everyone else is independent. No, all human beings have a bias when they're writing history. Yeah? So, yeah, accept it. When you're reading a history book, don't take everything at face value. Read it and go, okay, well, that's the bias of this chap and these are his sources. This is his history background. And, you know, to take what you want from it. So, but as I said, my interest in him isn't really about history. I don't really care about World War One or World War Two. Not my bag. What I am interested in about David Irving, and what I first became interested in, is because he's been attacked by a vast number of Jewish Zionists. The fact that Steven Spielberg's paid money, it was £13 million, I think, in the end it cost the Jewish community to take him to court and destroy his career. And you've got to ask yourself, why are they so interested in destroying him? And why was it such a global campaign? Jews organised around the world to destroy this guy, well before his trial, yeah? And being a Muslim, where Zionists, again, have attacked us, Jewish Zionists have attacked us, you've got to ask yourself, when they attack someone else, anyone who's at the forefront of defending Muslims is going to say, why? Why are they after this guy? What's up with him? Why is he so dangerous to them that they want to destroy him so badly? Don't say because he disagrees, you know, he's a bad, evil guy. Jewish Zionists are bad and evil. You think they just go after, they're so moral that they're going after David Irving because he's evil. They're evil. Yeah, you really think if the people who are funding the genocide of Muslims in Myanmar are worried about David Irving because he's unethical? Yeah, no. They went after him for their own political reasons, and that's my interest. Why are they so politically interested in him? Now, but what people don't know, and you've got to watch his videos, you really got to see his videos, and he talks about this, right? He says that they you know, remember, it's fascinating when you learn about this type of stuff, because they marched recently, 1 million, you know, white liberals, Zionists marched with Netanyahu and the Americans and the French and everyone else, you know, sent their delegations over to march about free speech in France. Yeah, I was unaware of this. I wish I was aware of it. I would have exposed it at the time. Jewish Zionists complained to David Irving's publisher. I wish I could remember the name of the publisher now, but you can see it on his videos, right? And the publisher secretly destroyed all of David Irving's books so people couldn't buy them. They want to talk about free speech, and that's the power of Jewish Zionists. That they can get a publisher, I think it was called Macmillan's actually now, destroy all back copies of David Irving without telling David Irving. All he knew that is his funds were getting run dry, his pension was run dry, you know, he makes money from selling books, and all of a sudden it was cut. That's the power that they have on information in this world. And tell me, 1 million people marched against Muslims saying that us barbarians don't understand free speech. Why aren't they marching about that? They want to march. March now. Now you know. It just shows they don't give a damn about free speech. Utter hypocrisy. And the way they were saying that Muslims don't understand our values. You don't understand your own values. But anyway, putting that aside. So you see this really powerful force moving against David Irving. For what? And as a Muslim, I'm thinking, hold on, there's these guys that really hate Muslims. They're moving against Muslims, and then they're going after this other guy. Why? And what it comes down to is that he has difference of opinion on the facts of the Holocaust. And he argues simply, I don't really want to go into it because I don't really care that much, right? I don't really care about the facts of the Holocaust. I'm not that interested, yeah? But he's just because I watched one of his videos just a couple of days ago. He says that, look, I believe 1.2 million, roughly 1.2 million, they're facts. The original sources of German documents say around 1.2 million Jews died, right? They weren't gassed in Auschwitz. He doesn't believe that. Whether they were, they weren't. I don't care, right? And they were killed in another place. All right, you know, might be, you know, passionate reason for some people, not really that interested in, unless you're interested in Holocaust history, Holocaust yourself. I'm not really that fascinated by it, but okay, all right. So you disagree with that, and you have your facts and your sources for saying that. That's one historical perspective versus another. Why would you destroy someone's career over that? Why would you contact the publisher and make sure that they burn secretly burn all of his books? Why would you then have him arrested and put him in solitary confinement in Austria? Why would you have him have charges against him in Germany, so that if ever steps foot in Germany, he will be arrested? Why did you pin him to the floor in front of everyone on an Air Canada flight and lock him up? An 80-year-old man, lock him in handcuffs on the floor? Because this is a historian, isn't a terrorist, isn't a guy who's going to blow the plane up. This is a guy who just has a difference of opinion on facts. As a Muslim, you got to think to yourself, my God, if they can do that to someone just because they disagree with them, what are they hiding? Why are they so panicky about it? Name one other historical fact that you can be arrested for or have your life destroyed for. How many Jews believe that the Palestinians are being holocausted right now? Go on. Why aren't they being arrested? Why aren't they being locked up in Germany in solitary confinement at 80 years old? Why aren't they being hunted around the world? Why aren't they losing their careers? You can't now fine, if that's what you believe and say, well, he shouldn't disbelieve this historical opinion of ours, then fine. Then don't disbelieve in a historical opinion that can clearly be evidence of us when we talk about Palestine Holocaust. What about the Holocaust in Bosnia? What about the Holocaust that a lot of people don't believe happened to the Native Americans? I've spoken to white Americans on Twitter saying, oh no, it never happened. The Native Americans, they died natural diseases. Lock them up. Lock up the people who don't believe that slavery in America was as bad as it was. Some people say 600 million people died. Some others say no, that was only 9 million. Lock the people up who believe it's only 9 million. Lock them up. Destroy their lives. That doesn't happen to any other historical field but this one. And you've got to ask yourself, why? Why do they get this special treatment? That's my interest. Yeah, as a Muslim, a victim of these people who have destroyed Palestine, who have destroyed Iraq, who have funded and armed the Burmese monks to slaughter the Muslims, the people who armed the Serbians to slaughter and genocide and rape the Bosnian Muslims, the people who are currently funding the Islamophobia industry in the Western world and have proven to be funded. It's not me making it up. Google it. Yeah, Jewish Zionists, Jewish billionaires are funding the white nationalist movements across the Western world who are Islamophobic. So I'm interested in if enemies of the Muslims are doing this, I want to know why. Ethically, it makes no sense, because if it makes sense for one guy, it makes sense for everyone. Lock everyone up. But if it only makes sense when you're locking people who don't agree with the Jewish version of the Holocaust, then it says that there's a political motive behind it. And that's the scary bit. Now, all I'm saying is this. What I would say is this. At first, it becomes incumbent upon you to go, hold on. If these people are so against it, I should know more about it. Watch his videos. Make your own mind up. I'm not saying he's right. I honestly don't know he's right. How would I know? I'm not a historian. I haven't spent 50 years studying it to check his facts and figures. As I said, I don't really care. I do care that someone whose ultimately crime is just to disagree with their facts is being vilified as a human being. That's unjust. Now, is he necessarily someone who particularly is fond of immigrants? I would honestly say no, I don't think he is. But then a white guy at 80 years old, how many of them are? Be fair. He's not a guy who would brick your window. I grew up with that type of guy. You know, I grew up at 7 years old, screaming at night with a bunch of white thugs, smashing all our windows. Not one night, virtually every night. We had most of my childhood had boarded up windows because the council would just come and board it up. That's all they would do. That's all they did to help us. I understand how horrible these people can be. Don't think I don't. I know probably more than you guys do, right? I remember going to school with blood all over my shirt. Not one day, many days, just because I'd walked to school and some white guys had seen me and said, look, Packy boy, age 10, let's beat him up. Blood everywhere, and having to sit through school and just you know, carry on as if nothing had happened. Yeah? So I get that white nationalists are not the nicest bunch in the world. But this particular guy isn't one of those guys. He's just a historian. He's of a certain age. And guess what? They have their prejudices. If you hate everyone and are going to destroy everyone's career for having prejudices, then there isn't going to be any white guy of that age, or very few white guys, who you're not going to destroy. And guess what? Let's face it, you're going to have to destroy a lot of other communities as well. So you have to say, okay, if he's got some prejudices, what is the punishment for that prejudice? If that's what this is about, it's about punishment for David Irving's prejudices, then is it really punishment that you should lock him up in a prison at 80 years old in solitary confinement for 2 years or whatever it's been? Is that really right? Have his career destroyed, destroy his books, destroy his life's work? Does that really does the punishment fit the crime? Doesn't, does it? Now, again, I say to you, watch him. Look at him, listen to him, because after you listen to him, forget what the Zionists are saying, forget what the newspaper's saying. You can't come across but think, he's just some old bloke. He's got his prejudice, but he's an old bloke. He's not an evil guy. He's not going to stab you in the street. He doesn't hate you that much to want to really harm you, but he's got his prejudice against us. Fine, that's cool. Yeah, so I get that. And I can put that in one side. He will have to answer to God on the day of judgment for his prejudices, right? He hasn't really understood Islam. No one's really given that message to him, most probably. And so why would he know any better? It's not like the neoliberal society can teach him any better. They're just as racist as anyone else. So what, the Zionists going to teach him to not be racist? Yeah, come on. So the fact of the matter is, all I'm saying is, you hear about this guy, find out about him, and ask yourself, did he really have to suffer the way he did to this day for disagreeing on a historical fact? I personally played a part in harming him to save my own neck, because when the newspapers called me and I'd given him 60 quid to fight his campaign against this multi-million pound campaign, global campaign funded by Jews and Jewish Zionists to destroy him in the British courts, I sent him 60 quid because I thought, he deserves a fair trial, and he didn't have any money and he became bankrupt off the back of it. And when the newspapers called me 10 years later, right, they called, now look how much they hate him, right? They had gone through my bank accounts. How they got hold of that information, I don't know. For 10 years to find one payment to this guy, I sent him a check, yeah? That's how much they want to do this guy over. And how they got that information, I don't know. But it just shows, right? They've gone, my bank's supposed to be personal to me. No one's supposed to know my stuff. But they had got hold of that information, right? From my bank. Either someone in my bank had given it to them, or some way or shape or form they got it, right? Their way. And then they called me up, and I by that time was defending Muslims, and I thought to myself, I can defend Muslims, I can defend David Irving. Well, sorry, David Irving, you're in the cold. I'm going to defend my Muslim brothers. But that was an immoral thing I did, and I regret it. I regret it to this day. I should never have allowed myself to be used by the newspapers to harm another human being. And what by saying I no longer want to be involved with David Irving, like I was ever involved with him in the first place. He gave me 60 quid. So what? But the fact of the matter is, the fact that I made a public statement against David Irving for something I don't really believe in now, right? I think to myself, I harmed that guy, that old guy that the whole world was against, for no reason, to save my own neck. I'm ashamed of that. So I apologise. David Irving is never going to know this. I feel it. I ask God for forgiveness. I ask David Irving for forgiveness. I wish I'd never done that. I regret ever saying anything bad about the guy. Where he does wrong, if it was in my field, I would say, you're doing a wrong. You're doing an injustice. As a Muslim, I would say that. To be fair, I'm a worse guy than David Irving will ever be. I'm not here to go around saying other people are evil, unless they really excel in evilness, like killing little kids and stuff. Then I think it's a moral duty to say something. Yeah, I'm not there moral arbiter on everything. But if something was really wrong, then yes, it's incumbent on me to say something. Look, this is wrong. This is bang out of order. Right? So I'd say it. But that's my opinion, David Irving. That's what I want to say about it. And I'd say to all those people who detract from David Irving, you ain't seen his videos. Watch them. And then tell me that Jewish Zionists had a right to do what they did to him. I'm not saying that the Jewish version of history is wrong. I don't know. What I'm saying is, did they have to do that to him to prove their point?